Hello and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from Northwest Community Television. In the next half hour, I'll look back at the most recent council meeting, which happened on a Tuesday because of the holiday, and a look at what's new around the city of Maple Grove. That's all next for you right here on the Maple Grove City Report. And thank you again for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser, joined by Al Madsen, Maple Grove City Administrator, studying all of the notes from that most recent meeting. It was about a 20-minute meeting, so we'll give you that recap in just a minute. But first, some things happening around the city of Maple Grove we want to make sure we get to. And the first one, on a sad note, the passing of a former mayor. Tell us a little bit about your work with Jim Dean and what he meant to the city of Maple Grove.
Well, I think that the passing of Jim Dean was a loss to the city, no doubt about that. He left quite a legacy for us, especially with our parks and our trails and things like that. And I considered Mayor Dean to be a good friend. He and I had a lot of great visits together over the years. We worked on a number of different projects over the years. He was an avid runner, and so every now and then I would talk to him about, his running escapades, and one time he said to me, I want you to jog with me sometime.
Oh, how'd that go?
I said, Mayor, the only way I will run with you is if I have a paramedic on each side of me, and each paramedic has a defibrillator to fight me back when I fall over. And he looks at me and he says, I think I can make that happen.
I bet he could.
And it's the last time I brought up running with the mayor. So, but no, I had a good working relationship with him, and a lot of people don't know that his service to the city really began back in the 60s.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. What was the timing?
Many considered him to be the godfather of our park system. And then, he went on to serve on the city council. Then he served as mayor for a number of years, and then retired, but that didn't last long.
No.
He retired about 3 years,
Right.
and then he ran for the Three Rivers Park District and was elected to that, and then became the chair of the Three Rivers Park District. Served then on the Park District, which was a benefit to the city because having such a devout individual, as it relates to parks and trails, and living in Maple Grove was really a benefit to us. And so thoughts and prayers go to Joyce and the family, and it was very sad. I was very honored when Joyce said that Jim wanted me to be a pallbearer, and so that was quite an honor. But interesting man, very principled, a tremendous amount of credibility.
Right.
At the visitation as well as at the funeral, a number of his former track students were there, and they spoke about the mayor, and so it shows, the type of credibility and how well liked he was. And again, he has left quite a legacy. So.
Did he ever talk about where he got this connection or passion for the parks? You said he came in early on, and again, he was so connected over the years. Where did that come from?
Well, not to my knowledge. He never did share that with me, other than the fact that he just said he's always liked parks and open spaces, and obviously trails for running, rather than running on a street.
Right.
Although he did that at times too, but he'd prefer to run on a trail. And so he never really did say, well, this is how I started with this great passion for parks. But I know our Park and Rec director and others consider him to be the godfather of our park system. And Maple Grove has got a very strong, comprehensive park plan. And we have 55 miles of trails. We've got 79 parks in our city, and it's almost 1,500 acres. And so, and again, this goes back to the 60s, and with Mayor Dean, and then Mayor Dean and others working on our comprehensive park plan.
Right.
which is the future of the city's park and trail system. So he did a phenomenal job, and then he became active in the historical society.
I was going to ask you about that. So it did not end when he left city council and being the mayor. He wanted to continue with the city and really wanted to preserve history. Tell me about that, of he and his wife's connection to history in Maple Grove.
Both Mayor Dean and Joyce were very active, and Joyce is still active in the historical society. And so Jim was one of the founders of the historical society, Jim and Joyce, and I got involved early on, and so I'm still involved with it. After I retire, I will get more involved because I, like Jim, have got a love for history. But Jim, he was around for so many years, and he knew so many people, and so he had so many connections that I mentioned to a reporter that some of the landowners out in the western part of the city are now thinking about developing their land, and they've been there for years and years and years. And so they're going through their outbuildings and they're, oh, look at this piece of equipment and look at this, and so they'll call and they'll ask the historical society, well, will you take this and will you take this? And Jim and I worked when we moved Pierre Botno's house from where it originally was along Zachary. We moved it over to the Public Works facility. And so Jim and I were working on that. We were trying to restore it. But as I remember Jim saying, we could be working on this for 500 years, and the two of us will never get it restored. Right.
Time to call in the professionals.
That's right, yes. So, yes, he had tremendous love for history, history parks and trails, and he was well liked. He had a tremendous outcoming for his visitation and his funeral. There's a tremendous number of people there. So, oh, yeah, he was. He was a lot of fun. He had kind of a dry sense of humor.
Yes, I would agree.
You weren't quite sure,
Right.
But I don't think I can recall. He hired me back 32 and a half years ago, and I guess I cannot recall any time where he really got upset to start raising his voice. He was always very calm, very calculated.
Right.
And so, plus, as I told him, I don't think he ever gained an ounce in the years I knew him.
That's true too, right.
So, but yeah, it's a loss to the city.
It is.
But he's left a nice legacy for us.
Yeah, certainly has left his mark on the city.
You bet.
Let's move on to some other items. We have a big grand opening coming up soon and ribbon cutting at Central Park of Maple Grove. Give us the details there.
Thursday, September 10th at 6:30, we will have a grand opening or ribbon cutting of our Central Park, which is over by just off of Hemlock and over in the area of where the Sky at Arbor Lakes is developing, that apartment complex, and Arbor Lakes Senior. It's roughly a 20-acre parcel. A lot of different amenities in there, and I would suggest that our viewers go to our website, and they can pull up all the different amenities that we will have in there. So it would have been nice if Jim was still alive, that he could have participated in that, and as well as my retirement. I was looking forward to having him at my retirement. But I think that Central Park is going to be just a tremendous amenity to the city. Those that obviously live around it are going to be thrilled because of all the activities that they can participate in. But again, I think this just adds another layer to the city's quality of living. And our park and trail system, certainly is a contribution to that.
So again, that event happens on the 10th. For those watching the show really, really early after we tape it here on the 9th, you can get out there. Otherwise, certainly stop out to the park. It is going to be open. This really is phase one of the development. So there are some amenities now, but still more things to come. Tell us how that might pan out over the next coming years.
There are still some additional parts, yes, that will be done. We've tried to do this in a two-phase.
Okay.
And so there will be some additional work done, but I think that when folks see it now, the brunt of the work that is going to be done in a phase two type thing is there now.
Okay.
What we'll be doing in the second phase is just some additional smaller things, but the real brunt of the Central Park is existing now. So.
All right. So again, go to the city's website, find out more about the amenities there, and if you can stop by, do that, or else just walk through it and enjoy what's there.
Absolutely.
Other things happening around Maple Grove.
Well, we finished our compliance training, liquor compliance training, and I want to thank the businesses that sent their employees to that. We require. Our liquor compliance training is mandatory for any business that has a liquor license. It doesn't matter if it's a 3-2 in wine or the hard liquor. And so we had a very, very good turnout.
And what actually happens there for people that don't know, and for me, we've obviously talked about it, but it seems first a little odd that the city is responsible for doing this, but I get it a little bit more now. So what does happen there? Why is the city so involved in that type of a training?
Well, the goal is to have zero issues with when we do our compliance checks, when we do our liquor
So
compliance
serving to minors.
checks. Right. And the goal is to have zero failures. Hopefully, the next time, one of these times, we will get that. But the purpose really is we bring in an outside instructor that is very well versed on the liquor business, so to speak, liquor regulations. And so that individual provides a lot of verbal and written material that they can take back with them to their business. So the goal really is to have zero failures when we do our liquor compliance checks. And so.
And it falls to the city as far as this responsibility. So it's up to each individual city of what type of training they offer and what type of enforcement they have. Is that correct?
Yeah, each city is a little bit different. There's no doubt about that. A number of years ago, ours was not mandatory, but we started to have a fairly large number of failures when we did our liquor compliance checks. And so then we made the training mandatory. Some cities, it's not mandatory. Some it is. Each city seems to be a little bit different, but I think most cities now today do have some form of training. Some will have an outsider come in and they'll charge a fee. In our case, we don't. We have an outsider that comes in that does the training. We don't charge a fee because we feel it's in the best interest of the city and obviously the business that has a liquor license. To better understand the liquor regulations, because you sometimes get frustrated because when we do the compliance checks, the Minnesota driver's license, I don't know if it could be more clear when someone is under 21, and so that can get real frustrating when somebody will fail, a compliance check. But in many cases, it's just carelessness of the wait staff, in a hurry, whatever the case. But our failures have been declining, and I think a lot of it isn't due in part to our training sessions that we do require. So
very good.
And we hold several per year. So if a new liquor operation comes in, if a new business comes in with a liquor license, we try to make sure that we can get them scheduled. It's worked out well for us.
Very good.
Very well.
And if existing businesses need to brush up that type of thing, obviously they can make sure they get on that schedule and come in as soon as possible.
Absolutely right. Yes.
Very good.
Maple Grove Hospital just celebrated 20,000 babies.
Yes.
It just seems like yesterday when the hospital opened up. And it just seems like yesterday when they hit 10 and then they hit 15 and now 20,000 babies. And so the Maple Grove Hospital has been, it's been a tremendous asset to Maple Grove, but the entire region. And I think that last year we were picked as the second best city in America to live, and I think having the hospital in Maple Grove played a role in that, because Money Magazine takes a look at a wide range of criteria, and so I think having a complex medical center in our community helped us. So continues to do very, very well.
Yes. And that may relate to a few other council items we talk about later of the growth of child care facilities in the city. Maybe there is a connection here, right?
That's a good point. That's a good point. Our recent population, we are about 67,500. And we many people might not realize this, but I'd like to bring it to the attention of our seniors, is that our fire prevention division of our fire department, we do have Deputy Fire Marshal Marilyn Arnland and her staff that will go to various seniors and test their fire alarms, make sure that everything is working properly. And we just finished doing that, and it was very, very successful. And so it's a great benefit not only to the seniors to make sure that their fire prevention equipment is working properly, but also it's a benefit to our fire department. It's a very, very successful program, and I appreciate everything the staff is doing.
And is this something that happens on an ongoing basis? So
Yes.
if seniors in the city are interested and might have the need to have someone check it out, they could
Right.
call the fire department?
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
good.
If somebody feels that there's something going wrong with their smoke alarms or whatever fire protection equipment that they may have, yes, let us know, and
Okay.
we'll go out and we'll take a look at it.
Very nice.
So it's a good service that we do provide. I think that's about it as far as a couple other things, I guess. On Thursday, September 24, at 5 o'clock, our police department is putting together a Fit for Life run and walk. We will run or walk around the 3 Arbor Lakes.
Okay.
And so I'm going to anticipate your question. Your question is going to be, am I going to participate?
Well, after your talk earlier with Mayor Dean saying to get out there, now you've got your opportunity.
Yeah, I am going to participate.
Well, there you go.
yes. So, but I'm not saying I'm going to run.
Okay.
But when they threw the word walk in there, that piqued my interest then.
So is this a benefit then for the police department
For the
or
Fit
the
for Life
Explorers?
program.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Very good.
and hopefully it'll be a nice day. So.
Excellent. On the city's website, I'm sure you can
Yes.
get more information about that event.
Absolutely, absolutely right. So I think that's about it. The city council meeting, as you mentioned, was roughly 20 minutes long. We only had really one item of discussion, and that was a daycare facility. And there were no real major issues. The daycare operator was very happy to accept whatever conditions the city was putting on it. Councilmember Jager did have some concerns about the location of the play area and the closeness to County 30. And so she brought that up. The operator stated that they would certainly be putting up fencing and probably some berms and things like that to better screen that area from the high traffic road.
Right.
Other than that, it will move along smoothly.
And the location is where and what's the timing that it might be open?
Oh, the timing, I'm not certain about that.
Okay.
The location is you got me now.
County 30 and Garland, is that what I
that's
heard?
it,
Okay.
Yes, Garland and County 30.
Okay.
The opening, though, I'm not certain.
Okay.
They didn't mention. What they have is their concept plan. They got that approved.
Right.
And now they'll come in with their development stage plan.
Okay.
So I would sense that they're probably, since we're in September, I don't
Right.
know if they'll even start anything this year. They may break ground and do some earthwork. Most companies, I hate to do winter construction because it just pushes the cost up.
Sure.
But so I'm not exactly
Okay.
sure what that is.
Okay.
So,
Very good.
and speaking of childcare, maybe there is a tie to
Yes,
the,
yes.
to the
Now
20,000
it's coming
babies.
together here, right?
The old alligators,
Yep.
which is along Bass Lake Road, that has been standing vacant for a number of years and has been acquired by a company that is going to tear it down, redo the parking lot. The landscaping is terrible. That whole site has just become so terribly overrun, and going to build a daycare there. Now, this is a daycare extraordinaire, I guess. It's almost like a science museum for children. I mean, it's going to be quite the daycare. I'm not certain what their time schedule is for
Okay.
opening, but we're happy that the property has been acquired and that facility will be taken down because it frankly has been an eyesore for a number of years. And the owner, there's been damage to the roof. tremendous amount of leakage inside the building, and so if someone sees the outside, part of it is boarded up, and as I say, a lot of it is overgrown with the trees are overgrown, weeds, and parking lot is terribly broken up, and so it'll be nice to see that site redeveloped.
So this group has already been before the council a time or two. Where
Yes.
are they in the process with the council?
They have been approved.
Everything has been approved.
They've been approved,
Okay.
and they have submitted plans to the building department. And my sense is they're thinking about sometime this month, September, taking down the building.
Clear the land, okay.
And so I'm thinking sometime in the next 10 days to 2 weeks, that building will come down.
So if you want your last sneak look at the old bowling alley and volleyball
Yes.
courts, do it quickly, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it exactly, yes. Just a few other things. We did set a couple of special city council meetings. One is for Monday night, the 14th of September, to start reviewing applications for the city administrator position, since I will be retiring at the end, actually it's the end of next month now.
Can you believe that? We talked about it before for many months,
We
and
have,
how
yes.
long it looked away. It's drawing a little closer.
Yeah, it sure is. I told the mayor last night, there was a time I was saying 6 months, and now I'm saying end of next month.
Right.
I'm retiring. So, and so they'll review applications for a city administrator position, and then they set another meeting for September 30, and that's to review applications for the building official. We've had a vacancy in that department since Rick Davison retired. And so we have 9 applications that will be reviewed by the council at that time. So there's a number of, the council's going to have a busy September.
Right,
So
exactly.
very busy September. Just a few other things. Let me just grab my notes here. We have the planning commission's going to be having some good activity coming up. Opus Corporation is proposing to construct 2 large industrial buildings on property along Zachary and just to the east of the school district headquarters. One, I think, is about a 95,000 square feet facility, and the other is about 76,000 square feet. So 2 buildings of very substantial size. They will be probably multi-tenant. They'll be on the order of office showroom type of facility. So that parcel there has been sitting vacant for quite some time.
Right.
And so we're happy to see that develop. So
Are there tenants already attached to that site, or this
my
is the beginning part of the process?
my assumption is probably not 100%.
Okay.
But I would believe that Opus does have a few in the
Okay.
back of their mind that they haven't told us about.
Right.
But putting up a spec building of that size is a little risky, and so that kind of leads me to think that they do have
Okay.
somebody lined up. That large Red Rock Business Center. That's 322,000 square feet, I believe, and that is going to be having a tenant that's going to be taking most of that, and I think that tenant is going to be announced very soon.
Okay.
So,
And for people, as far as location, that is the one along
Right.
County 81, just across the street from Osseo High School in that
right,
complex.
right,
Okay.
just along 81, and actually across from the old Shell station,
Right.
which we're
Which,
hoping,
by the way.
which, by the way, yes, we're hoping is going to be demolished and redeveloped. So we're still working
Okay.
with the owner of that. So
Okay.
one thing that, excuse me, at the state fair there was a, and I don't know if it was PCA or it was DNR or who, was doing water sampling of various cities. And Maple Grove was ranked as the 3rd best water quality. Minneapolis, St. Paul was ahead of us, but the voters picked Maple Grove as the 3rd best. I know there will be some citizens out there that will say, really, I don't know about my water, but we're trying to get more information as to what the details were about
Okay.
that, because things are a little sketchy. But right now, they picked us as the 3rd best.
Okay.
So I don't know who the other competition was, other than Minneapolis,
Right.
St. Paul. So.
Okay.
I think that's about it. We did have a short HRA meeting, Housing and Redevelopment Authority. And we set the 2016 levy for the HRA at $150,000. That is the same levy amount that we have had since 1999, so we have not changed it. So that's it. Things continue to move along well.
Very good. We've got a couple other minutes here. You mentioned the State Fair. We can't get away without talking about the bus service to the State Fair because I hear it was gangbusters. First day, there were people backed up everywhere.
It was on the first Saturday, because the people could go to our Arbor Lakes Transit Station, park
those
there,
weekends, right.
catch a bus to the State Fair. The first Saturday, my transit administrator said there was probably 400 to 500 cars that were there about 7:30.
Oh my.
That's before the buses were scheduled to show up.
Right.
And that didn't include all the cars that were winding around the facility to get into the transit station. And so I don't have the exact figures yet, but I'm told that we probably exceeded last year's number of cars that were parking.
Fantastic.
And this is using our transit station in cooperation with Metro Transit.
Right.
And it operated only on Saturdays and Sundays and Labor Day.
Right.
But I've been told that we probably have exceeded the number of cars that we've had last year. So,
Fantastic.
yeah, let the driving to somebody else.
That's right.
Sharon and I should have done that. We went to the fair on the opening day, and we couldn't even get close. We couldn't
park
find
down there, right?
No, we couldn't find a parking space. We did find one, as I mentioned to you, that was about 2.5 miles away. And I said, 2.5 miles away, by the time we get to the state fairgrounds, we're going to be so tired.
Yeah, you'll have to turn around and go right back.
Yeah, we're not going to be able to walk around.
So people have obviously been using that service out in
very
Maple
much.
Grove, so
Yes.
good for that. Photo contest. I know that there are some pictures up on the city's website, and I believe the process is complete. Is that right? So if people are interested, where are we in the photo contest for this year?
I will tell you, that's a good question.
Okay.
Carol hasn't given me an update on that.
Okay.
She's been handling that. But I know that, yes, they are on the website.
Okay.
And people can go to the website and take a look.
Yeah, so the next time we get together, we'll talk a little bit more about that, because some residents of Maple Grove took some pretty neat pictures from
yes,
around the
yes,
city, and so you'll be seeing some of those. Last minute, let's just talk about back to school. I know it's everyone's favorite topic right now, how things go in Maple Grove, and any reminders you give people at this time of the year as far as what your police department is saying to drivers in Maple Grove around schools.
Slow down.
Okay, fair enough.
We did not have any issues. Everything went fairly smooth. But I just caution all the drivers. We get into a different set of habits when school is not in session, driving habits. And so I just caution everybody, just slow down. And you see children, obviously, let them go on the crosswalk. If you see buses, don't pass the bus. You stay behind the bus. And so, but everything went well as far as I'm aware of. So
excellent.
Yeah.
That's what we want to hear.
You bet.
All right, Al, thank you very much again for your
Thank you,
time.
Dave.
Let's leave you with a little information to contact, and also next meeting. There you see the city's website. Mentioned that a number of times during this show. Some great information about things coming up in the city on the city's website. Also, the Central Park of Maple Grove. You can actually look at what it looks like there on the site. The next meeting is going to be Monday, September 21st at 7:30 at the Government Center. 494-6000 is the phone number to the Government Center, and our viewer response line 533-1710. If you have questions or comments about the program, we certainly can take those on that voicemail. For Al Madsen, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.